Right, guys, we are live. I'm being told we're being, yeah, we're good to go. We're good to go. Awesome, guys. Welcome back. Welcome back for our third session of our understanding and overcoming barriers to health, fitness, well-being course. Like I say, we're looking at a lot of stuff that's been getting in the way, especially over lockdown and stuff like that. But sort of day-to-day life as well. There's a lot of stuff can get in the way of our whatever we've got planned for our food, whatever diet we might have planned or whatever exercise we've got planned or would like to do ideally. There's a lot of different stuff that can it kind of end up getting in the way. So, like I say, all we're doing throughout this course, we're just starting to sort of identify some of the barriers, break them down a little bit. And one of the biggest ones that I've come across, guys, through my time working in the like in the fitness industry and stuff like that, is the food side of things. Being able to pick up a product and be able to figure out, okay, it's got this much sugar in, but is that a lot of sugar? Yeah, like it's got this much fat in, but is that a lot? I don't really know. So yeah, we'll be just having a little bit of a dive in and having a look at different roles of food in our diets and different words that you might come across or might have come across in the past. And then, like I say, we're going to be looking at how we can actually look at a food label and interpret whether that's something that we want to buy, spend our money on, take home, put in our bodies, put in our families' bodies, and stuff like that as well. So we can get a lot of information from a food label, guys, rather than just go down the aisle, see something that looks nice, worse, even potentially looks healthy, but isn't really when you get down to the like the numbers of it and start looking at them food labels. So yeah, guys, that's where we're going to be at this morning. So what we're going to do, just to start us off, we've got a little word jumble to do. Yeah, so what we've got there, guys, we've got 17 words, all to do with food, diet, nutrition, and things that we're going to bear in mind when we're thinking about taking care of our bodies and what we're putting into it. Because really, we've got two ends of the spectrum that we can control. We can control energy out, yeah, which is the amount of energy that we're burning, and that's through our movement and our exercise and stuff like that. And then at the other end of the spectrum, we've got energy in, which is energy going in, which is, of course, our food and our drinks and stuff like that. So it's calories coming in, balanced against calories going out. And if you're eating more coming in than there's going out, you're going to put weight on. If you're not bringing as much energy in as you're expending, then you're going to end up losing weight. And that's pretty much the way that a lot of diets are worked out in terms of weight loss and weight gain. But of course, we know by now it's not just about weight gain, weight loss. It's not just about the number that comes up on the scale when you get on the scales. It's much more important to think about how healthy we are actually, because eating for weight loss or weight gain is so differently to eating healthily. And can mean totally different things. So yeah, guys, we're going to be thinking about how can we actually get the most out of our diet and make sure we're getting vitamins and nutrients and stuff like that that we need, rather than just focusing on counting calories. Yeah, guys, so 17 answers or 17 challenges on there, I guess. We'll spend just 5 minutes or so, and then I'll start working through them and giving you the answers. If you want to take a little bit longer at that point and just work through the last couple yourself, by all means, just pause the video and then you can get caught up with myself afterwards and just press play and get the rest of the video rolling. Of course, if you're not watching along live and you're watching later on in the week, you can just pause it and you're not missing anything anyway, of course. Right, guys. Okay, then. So I've found just while you guys are like having a couple of minutes to work through some of these, I've been thinking quite a lot about the food side of things and the importance of actually being able to read a food label and figure out what it is that you're eating really. And I've noticed that that's even more important over the last 18 months, and could potentially be over the next six to 12 months, depending on how things go. There were times where during lockdown and of course when numbers were a lot higher and infection rates were a lot higher with COVID and stuff like that, it was one person in a shop from a household, obviously not just one at a time, but one from a household in a shop, so one per trolley. So, you might have somebody who's out doing the shopping who might not be the one in the family who knows the most about food. Maybe the person who drives in the household that to go to the shop. They don't know much about food. You're going around the aisles, you're just making kind of guesses. You're just getting stuff that's normally in or in your normal shop, or even even myself, I found times where I would be in an aisle and I'd go to read like a food label, and obviously you're worried about holding other people up, stopping other people getting to the bits that you're trying to get to, because everyone's obviously trying to keep you 2 meters apart and stuff like that. There were times where I was really conscious about spending time loitering in aisles, although all it would be to do would be actually trying to make good food choices by reading the food labels. Now, I'm quite fortunate, I guess, that I'm a little bit more used to reading them, a little bit more used to interpreting them, but that could be a really, really big barrier. And that has been something that I've had a lot of people mention over the last 18 months. If you're trying to make a quick decision on something, the faster you can read that food label, the better, really, I guess. At the same time, now we've got, and have for a little while, I guess, sort of food shortages and staff shortages in the supply chain and stuff like that. So you might go to the shop anytime in the next year, and the product that you're so used to buying that you understand inside and out might not actually be available. It might not be there. You might have to buy a different brand of beans or a different brand of X, Y, and Z. And again, they're not, the nutritional info isn't going to be exactly the same, on sort of Branston beans as it is on Heinz beans. There's going to be differences. So again, you're there in the shop, you're trying to look at this new product, you've got a selection of different products, the one that you normally get isn't there, and you've got 4 new ones to pick from, and you might want to stand there and compare all of them. Now, again, being able to sort of interpret that food label sort of quickly and accurately is going to speed up the process, and it's going to help you make healthier food choices when it comes to putting stuff in your basket and bringing it home to preparing your meals. Okay, guys, a couple more minutes on here, and then, like I say, I'll just start working through one at a time, and we can go from there. So, a couple of little clues, I guess. We'll have a couple of little clues. The first 3, are going to make up the different groups that are pretty much the entirety of what we eat. Yeah. So all the foods that we eat really are going to be made up of these first 3. They all have their own separate jobs in the body, which we're going to discuss in a little bit. And you might have heard them called macronutrients before. I might have mentioned it. You might have heard it elsewhere. Our 3 macronutrients is the first 3. Okay, guys, we'll go 1 more minute, and then at 20 past, I'll start going through the answers. As always, guys, if you are following along live in the chat, if you want to sort of just chuck something in there, shout something out, let us know how you get on, then by all means do. If this is, again, if you're watching later on in the week and you just want to drop me an email and let me know how you got on, that's awesome too. I know that there's the survey for you to fill in for each session, leave a little bit of feedback, but at the same time, if you do really well and you want to let me know, then by all means do. You can even let me know which are the ones that you struggle to remember the most, maybe, and we'll try and figure out some ways to help you remember those. Right, guys, let's start working through then. So we have got number 1, top left, we'll work down that left column first. Number 1 is carbohydrate. Yeah, so carbohydrates are used for energy in the body. I think media and society in general tends to have a little bit of a phobia of carbohydrates, no carbs and stuff like that. Low carb diets are becoming more and more prominent, but we need carbs in our diet for energy, guys. So number 1, carbohydrates, and that is one of the macronutrients that's going to make up pretty much all the food that we eat. Yeah. So carbohydrates, to start us off, examples of carbohydrates might be pasta, rice, potato. Then you've got your fruit and veg carbohydrates as well. So some are starchier than others, some break down in your system quicker than others, some take a little bit longer and actually burn more calories to break them down. But carbohydrates, guys, at the end of the day, your body turns them into glucose and glycogen and uses it for energy pretty much. So all the carbohydrates your body uses kind of gets converted into the same thing. Number two, then we've got protein. So probably one that you have come across before, one that you have heard, especially if you've been in gyms, around gyms. Of course, you'll probably see the old protein shakes and stuff like that, and the protein powders you can get. And the reason that these are so popular and so sort of hot at the minute is, of course, that your body uses protein to repair itself. You know, all your cells, you know, your skin, your hair, of course, your muscles and your organs and stuff like that as well needs protein. It's almost like protein's almost like the little building blocks that your body uses to, like I say, repair itself. And when you exercise, when you're lifting weights and stuff, you're actually damaging those muscles intentionally, but you're damaging those muscles. And then the protein intake that you've got, the protein that you eat is used to repair those muscles. They come back bigger, stronger, more defined, depending on the way that you're training. But your body needs protein to do that. So you could be eating, you know, more calories than you actually need. You could be eating, if you were just eating a load of carbohydrates and fats, then after you've been exercising, your body's not going to repair itself. So you could be training 6-7 days a week, really, really hard, but your muscles aren't going to develop and get any bigger if you're not eating the protein to help them grow, guys, really. So that's what protein does. It helps our body recover, helps our body repair itself. And like I say, is another one of our main macronutrients. So we've got carbohydrates and protein so far. The third one we've got, guys, number 3, is fat. Yeah, so we've got fat. And again, it's a word that I think we've been conditioned to be scared of, you know, or to have sort of negative associations with it. But fat has its place in our diet as well, guys. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in just a second on the next slide. But first and foremost, it's going to do a little bit of insulation, protect your organs, and it actually helps your body absorb certain vitamins as well. So we need fats in our diet, guys, you know, fats and carbohydrates. If we were to listen to, you know, some of the social media influencers and, you know, some of these health product spokespeople out there and stuff like that, we'd never touch fat or carbohydrates again in our life, you know, and we would really, really suffer for that, you know, in terms of fats again, you know, good fats that you find in fish and nuts and stuff like that, naturally occurring fats, they're good for your skin. You know, you'll get that sort of more like not oily, but more like a more natural sort of look to your skin rather than being sort of like really, really dry and flaky. So yeah, we're talking good fats, guys, protein, and sort of ideally slow release carbohydrates, but we'll get into that in just a little bit. Number 4 is diet. So when I use the word diet, guys, I'm thinking about what your food intake looks like day to day. Yeah, it's not a temporary diet like Weight Watchers or Atkins diet or keto or something like that. You know what I mean? The way I'm thinking about diet is that everybody has a diet and everybody is on a diet. It's just a case of how good that diet is. You know, diet doesn't necessarily have to mean for weight loss either. You know, like I say, diet is just your food intake and what it actually looks like and the way it's sort of put together and planned out. Okay, number 5 is, of course, food, which we eat and digest in order to give our body energy. Yeah, which is number 6. Number 6 is energy, and if you're not sure, calories are a unit of energy. Yeah, so that is why we measure food in calories. It's how much energy are we going to get, and then of course calories burned is how much energy are we expending, and that's where we come back to that balancing act, like I mentioned at the start of the session, where you've got energy in versus energy out, and that is of course the food that you eat against the exercise that you're doing, in a nutshell. You know, really, if you want to sum it up a little bit. So yeah, food is bringing energy into our system, which, like I say, that's all calories are really. It's a unit of energy. Number 7 is vegetables. Should be one that we've all heard of. I'd like to think so. Of course, we know to aim for our 5 pieces of fruit and veg a day. Fruit is of course, good for you. It's full of vitamins and minerals and stuff like that. Just to be wary of the sugar content of fruit, because there is a lot of naturally occurring sugar in fruit as well. So, again, if you're eating a couple of processed bits throughout the day that have got sugar in as well, of course, you're better off dropping those and then having fruit. But just to be wary about how much fruit you're actually having. Vegetables, guys, go crazy with. You're gonna have a really hard time overeating on veg, and they tend to be quite filling as well. So they'll leave you feeling full without putting a load of calories in your system, and that means that you're less likely to snack later on as well. So, vegetables, guys, all around, one of our best friends when it comes to food and certainly being healthy. Okay, number 8 is meat. Yeah, so a really good source of protein. Not to say that you can't get protein from other sources, especially if you're vegan, vegetarian. But meat is going to be a really, really good source of protein. White meat is going to be leaner than red meat, for example. It's going to have less fat, which is why, again, chicken and turkey are so popular these days. You'll even see chicken sausages, turkey mince, turkey bacon, and stuff like that because it's leaner and it's just overall that little bit better for you. Not to say that you can't have beef and steak from time to time as well to treat yourself, but again, just be aware. Too much of anything is a bad thing, guys. I guess really, you can drink too much water, and sort of drown from the inside out. So yeah, too much of anything is a bit overkill. So everything in moderation, guys, and the same goes when it comes to our meat, especially red meat. That said, given that it's probably going to be one of our main delivery sources for protein, we want to try and make sure that we're getting a decent hit of protein at each meal. Yeah, to make sure we get enough day to day. Number 9, we've got dairy. So one of our food groups, from the Eat Well plate. If you've ever seen the Eat Well plate, that might split your food into dairy, meat, and then you might have sort of a veg and greens. Then you've got grains and bread and carbs and stuff like that. So dairy is one of those groups. Of course, we've got our cheese, our milk, our yogurts, all of that sort of stuff, which again can come in different sort of qualities. Some are healthier than others, and of course, dairy is a really good source of calcium as well, which good for our bones, especially in growing kids. As those bones are developing and toughening up a little bit as well. So yeah, dairy, it's an important food group, and again, we just got to be aware of it and know how to make our good food choices within that food group. Yeah, because like I say, some's healthier than others. Okay, guys, number 10 is fish. Another really good source of protein, and sometimes, depending on the fish, a good source of good fats as well. So if you've ever seen like omega-3 tablets or fish oil tablets, they're giving you the same thing, really. Again, good for your skin, good for your joints, good for your brain, these good fats. So again, guys, we need fat in our diet. It's just certain fats that we want to stay away from, saturated and trans fats being sort of the main two big offenders. So fish, guys, again, although it might be oily, it might have fats in, it's good fat, it's naturally occurring. So good source of protein and fats. Bit of fish a couple of times a week, never hurt anybody. Again, just watch out for going overkill with certain things if we're having them every day. Number 11 is calcium, like we just mentioned a second ago. Comes from really dairy is probably going to be the main source of calcium in our diet. And again, milk, yogurt, cheese, all of that sort of thing. And of course, calcium good for our bones, like we said a second ago. Okay, number 12 is salt. Yeah, or you might, it sometimes shows up on food labels as sodium. Yeah, so we've got salt, sodium, and salt is becoming more and more sort of abundant in our diet. We buy products from the shelf that are coming with salt in that we wouldn't even expect there to be salt in, and salt, as well as adding a little bit of flavor, it works quite well as a preservative as well. So it gives food a longer shelf life. So it means that the customer can buy them and keep them in the house for longer, which is always a convenience thing. We can ship them further from around the other side of the world, safely without them expiring. And again, making bigger profits for food companies. But it's coming at the expense of our health sometimes, guys, especially if we're not looking at how much salt is actually in the food that we're eating, because it's so easy to get a meal that's already got a decent amount of salt in and just grab your own salt shaker and start adding even more. I remember growing up, my granddad would just add salt to everything, it's come from a time where we've been during the war, we've been on rations, we've grown our own veg and stuff like that in the garden. We've needed to add flavorings to our food, to season them a little bit. Whereas, these days you buy something from the shop, a ready-made lasagna or something, you don't need to put a load of extra salt into it, because you might actually be surprised how much salt's in there in the first place, guys. So when it comes to salt, they reckon no more than 6 grams a day, which is only 1.5 teaspoons. Yeah, 1.5 of the little spoons. So again, it's really, really easy to go overboard and over the top with salt these days. So yeah, just want to watch out for, guys. Number 13, we've got water. So of course, keeps us hydrated. The body's about 70% water, so we need to keep it topped up. We are, of course, sweating pretty much all day in some capacity, and we losing water. The recommendation for 2 liters of water a day is based on somebody who doesn't even really move about that much. And the more you move, the more water you actually end up needing as well. So again, I'll try little tips like wake up and have a glass of water first thing in the morning, try and have a glass of water last thing on the night before you go to bed, and then keep yourself topped up that way. What I would recommend is, if you're not currently drinking much water, don't try and jump straight to 2 liters, because you're going to feel really bloated, and you're probably going to be backwards and forwards to the toilet all day long, and it can seem a little bit much. So start with half a liter, go to a liter, liter and a half, work your way up to 2 liters, even a week at a time. Guys, let your body get used to a little bit before you start trying to ask it to deal with a lot. And it always works the same. Your calories are the same. If you're upping your calories or lowering your calories, do it gradually, guys, rather than just trying to jump straight to where you want to be and giving your body a lot more of a shock, and a lot more of a harder time trying to be consistent with it as well. So of course we know we need water. It keeps us hydrated, and helps us flush a load of toxins out at the other end as well. Okay, number 14 is a food diary. So a concept that you might have come across before, writing down all the food that you eat, how many calories are in it. You can go as far with it as you want. You can track your protein and your carbs and your fats and stuff like that. But a food diary can be really, really helpful in helping you pick out patterns in your habits and in your food and stuff like that. It might be, well, look, do you know what? At the end of the week, you look back and you think, look, every day I've had like white bread, I felt ill the day after. And if you don't write that down and record that, you might not put those 2 things together. You might just be waking up thinking, oh, I'm a little bit rough today. Or what did I have for tea? Whereas it might have been an earlier meal throughout the day, and you just, like I say, it's just so easy to not pair those 2 things up in your head until you see them written down. And of course, it's handy to go back and sort of compare your results at the end of the week. If you get on the scales and you see, look, the numbers have gone up or down, or they haven't moved at all, you look back on the food that you've eaten and you think, right, okay, why is that the case? Why has it either worked or why hasn't it? And if you haven't written that down and you're on the scale Monday morning and you're trying to remember back to last Monday morning and everything you've had to eat in between, it's really, really hard to think about what's either gone wrong or what's gone right. So having it all in front of you can make it a little bit easier to just go back and reflect on as well, and keep an eye on where you're expecting to be, really. Okay, guys, last 3. So 15 is sugar. Yeah, so sugar for number 15. Again, really, really abundant in our diet these days. It helps stuff last a little bit longer, same as salt. It, of course, makes a lot of stuff a little bit more palatable and a little bit more digestible. And, of course, I'm sure we all know by this point, really addictive as well. The more sugar you're eating, the more sugar your body wants. really, and it changes your taste buds as well. Like if you're used to eating a load of junk and chocolate bars and stuff like that, and you eat a strawberry might actually taste like quite tangy and quite bitter. But if your diet doesn't contain that much sugar, and your palate and your tongue isn't getting overwhelmed by like really strong sugar hits all the time, that strawberry is going to taste a lot sweeter. So you can actually change. You actually notice your palate and your preferences changing as time goes on, as you're hopefully reducing sugar in your diet. But yeah, guys, it is really addictive. We eat it, we have that quick sugar release. It makes us feel good because it tastes nice as well. And then we have a sugar spike, and then we come down the other side in an hour or two's time and we feel lethargic and tired again. So what do, guys? We go back to the cupboard and get something else that spikes us up. So you spend all day spiking sugar high, sugar crash, sugar high, sugar crash, and it just knackers your system out, as opposed to picking some carbohydrates that are going to slowly release to your system over the day. But again, we can talk about that as we go through the session. 16, we've got grams. So grams is going to be really, really helpful in giving us a standard unit of measurement. Yeah, a unit of weight when it comes to not only, how big is a serving size for this food, or how much food is in this packet altogether. It can help us figure out, okay, there's this many calories per this many grams. There's this much fat, carbs, protein per this many grams. So with grams is how we're actually going to be able to like I say, measure our food against it and see, right, what's the quality of that food, So grams is going to be something that you see quite a lot, and you're going to be dealing with quite a lot when it comes to food. And then number 17 is, just to finish us up, is labels. Yeah, so number 17 is labels, as in food labels, which is, like I say, what we're going to be talking about in just a sec. And like I say, really, really important in helping us make good, healthy food choices that fit our fitness goals as well. Because what is healthy, guys, really, but what is healthy and ideal for your fitness goals is going to be different from one person to the next. Someone who's trying to lose weight isn't going to need as much protein as somebody who's trying to build muscle, naturally, so again, it's going to be different from person to person. There's no right foods and wrong foods, really. It's a case of how often we're having them and how well do they actually line up with where you want to go, and where what your fitness goals are, where you'd like to be in 3 months, 6 months, whatever it might be. And again, food labels are going to be the key in helping us pick good food choices. Okay, guys. Okay, so like I say, if you want to pause it there and fill in any blanks, or write anything down, then by all means do. We're going to spin on and just break down these macronutrients a little bit more. Yeah. Okay, guys. So as I've already mentioned this morning, all the foods that we eat are pretty much entirely made up of 3 macronutrients, which is fat, protein, and carbohydrates, like we've looked at already. But it can be quite easy to get them mixed up, get them confused with each other. What does each one do? So let's just have a little bit of a run through, and then in a little bit more depth, we'll talk about what each of these actually does. Yeah. Okay, guys. Okay, so proteins. We mentioned earlier on, your body uses protein to build and repair tissue. Yeah. So you use protein to make enzymes, hormones, and other body chemicals as well. Yeah. So protein is an important building block of bones, muscles, cartilage, skin, and blood. Yeah, so protein, really, really important in helping our body maintain itself, really. Yeah. So one thing that I do find and have found in a lot of clients over the years, particularly women, but kind of applies to everybody as well. A lot of us guys don't get enough protein in our diet. So the way that I've always thought about it is, if you are trying to get sort of an adequate or enough protein in your diet, you want to aim for about 1 gram per pound of body weight. So I'm just going to do, I'll not subject you to my quick maths because it's not a strong point of mine. If we go to mass, let's have a look. Gram. If you weighed, let's have a look. Stone. If you weighed 12 stone, it's 168 pound. Yeah. So 12 stone, 168 pound. So really, you want about 168 grams of protein a day. Yeah. Now you think a chicken breast might have 30 to 40. Yeah. So that's 4 of those every day. Not necessarily chicken breast all the time, because yeah, that'd get like really, really boring and really samey. But that is where some of the problem lies. It's hitting these numbers and keeping it interesting and varied enough for yourself. So you think you might only eat 3 times a day. So 168 pounds divided by 3, you're looking at about 50 grams of protein a meal. Now, that's actually a lot of protein for your body to take in one sitting as well. So even at 12 stone, you're thinking, right, okay, even if I'm having 3 meals a day, I can only get 40 to 50 grams of protein in each meal. Where does the rest come from? And of course, that would be snacks, protein shakes, that kind of thing, guys. But hopefully that just sort of shows you how it would be so easy to just not be getting enough protein. If your breakfast looks a little bit more like this, you have a bowl of cereal and a cuppa, or a glass of orange juice and a cereal bar or something for your breakfast. Then for your dinner, you have a sarnie. It might be a cheese sandwich and a packet of crisps and like a chocolate bar. There's not really much protein in any of that, guys. So by the time you get to tea time, your last meal of the day, you've had a fraction of the protein that you actually need. So even if you have a big whack of protein for that last meal, you have a load of beef or pork or chicken or whatever it might be, like a lot of us will tend to do with our evening meal. It's almost a little bit too late. It's too late in the day to be start thinking, right, I need to try and get enough protein in now. You obviously, if you spread it across the day, you've got much more chance of getting it in. So that's the way that I always work it out, guys. I've always thought to myself, right, I am this weight, I need this much protein in a day, so I therefore need this much protein at each meal, which straight away made us think, right, and need more protein in it here. That's going to be meat, eggs, lentils, that kind of thing. Some veggies got a quite high protein content as well. So it can be done, guys, but we need to be aware of it. Because like I say, this has been one of the biggest things I've come across in people's diets over the years. I'll get a look at what they're currently eating now, and then I'll make the change. I'll suggest a change that makes the most sense. And it's normally, look, we need more protein in here first and foremost before we worry about anything else. So just something to be conscious of, guys, as we leave today's session, and you maybe thinking about your dinner after this. Maybe thinking about dinner now if you're like me and always thinking about your food. You maybe thinking about dinner already, and can we be thinking, right, okay, how can I get a decent source of protein in, potentially each meal a day? But even if you start at 1 meal, again, baby steps, guys. Start at 1 meal a day, then 2, then 3, and gradually build it up. Because although that might be perfect, if you're already here, you better to just go to the next step and just be a little bit better day on day, week on week, rather than just changing everything altogether straight away. And within a week, you don't know whether you're coming or going. Okay, guys, last one just to finish us up on protein before we move on then. There are 4 calories per gram of protein. Yeah. Now, if we just skip to the last sentence of the last 2, so we can see fat, there are 9 calories per gram of fat. Carbohydrates, again, there are 4 calories per gram of carbs. So why am I telling you this? Okay, guys, so this to me highlights why it's so easy to overeat and put weight on when we're eating fatty foods, because per gram that we're eating, we're getting more than double the amount of calories. Yeah, from 4 to 9. If we're eating protein per gram, it's 4 calories. per gram of fat is 9 grams, or nine calories. Yeah. So again, foods that have got more fat in them are gonna by default have more calories in them. Yeah. Which is why your burgers, your chips, and all of that sort of stuff can have so many calories in them because it's fat. Yeah. So again, they are something to watch out for in terms of fats that might be putting you over the amount of calories that you need, and that could be the oils that you're cooking stuff in, your vegetable oil and stuff like that. So again, just stuff to be wary of, and at the same time, you might actually need more fats in your diet to help pad those calories out if you find that you're not eating enough. It's something that I found at one point I was eating too clean because I was trying to eat really healthily, but I wasn't getting enough, like the odd bit of cheese in there, egg yolks instead of just egg whites because the fats are in the yolk rather than the whites. And I found that I was able to, in this case, it was stop losing weight because I was exercising in the gym and teaching 3 or 4 classes a day potentially. So I was burning a lot of calories, and I'm like, I need to get more calories in my food. I haven't got a massive appetite, but I was able to, a couple of egg yolks, some chicken, some slightly more fatty meat from time to time. Again, red meats over white meats, just to get the extra calories in there. So again, that can be a good way of either boosting your calories or dropping your calories down, just thinking about the fats that's actually in there. But yeah, I always found that quite interesting, guys. There's double the amount of calories per gram of fat than there is protein or carbs, which is why fatty foods end up with us putting weight on, and we're getting more calories than the body can burn, so the body stores it as fat. Your body doesn't just go, oh, there's fat in that, cheese, I'll store that straight away. If your body can use it, it will. If it needs to use it, it will. Yeah, just in case of if we end up with an excess. Okay, guys, then we've got fats then. So what else do fats do other than pad our diet out a little bit if we needed to? So fats are necessary to ensure the smooth functioning of cells. Yeah, they also help maintain healthy skin and hair as well as allowing the brain to function properly. Yeah, so like we mentioned earlier on. So eating fats in our diet can help with absorption and storage of key micronutrients as well. I think it's like vitamin A. Off the top of my head, I think vitamin A is one of them. And there are certain vitamins in our diet that would very easily just go into our stomach and pass through our system without being absorbed if we didn't have fats for them to bind to. So they sort of join up with the fats that we're eating, and then our body is able to absorb those fats and those vitamins as well. If we weren't getting enough fats in, like I say, it would just pass through our system and we wouldn't actually be able to unlock them, and use them properly. So the same applies when it comes to storing micronutrients as well. If we have an abundance of vitamin A, again, rather than the body wasting the excess, the body can actually store it in our fat as well. And when we need it, break down that little bit of fat or whatever to be able to access those vitamins as well. So really, really interesting, guys. It's not just fat something that's in our diet that is to be avoided, and fat is something to be shamed and to be scared of. Like, no, fat's a food group, guys, at the end of the day, and we need them for a lot of different reasons, So there's not just that, but of course, body fat helps us maintain the correct body temperature with a little bit of insulation, and actually provides a little bit of cushioning on our organs, tissue, and bones as well, sort of internally. So yeah, a lot of things, guys, and a lot of ways that fats are actually helping us. And we would suffer, if we went on a totally low fat diet. Okay, cool. On to carbohydrates then. So last one of these to do. So carbohydrates. So carbs are a fuel source for the body and they're necessary for a balanced diet. Yeah, so we need carbs as well. Yeah, some carbs are healthier than others. Really, sometimes it comes down to sort of nutritional impact and nutritional value. What other good are we getting from these carbohydrates? And some of them, like I say earlier on, are slow releasing, so they will hit your body a lot a lot gentler. So it's not like a mad sugar rush, like you've had a chocolate bar or a load of sweets. It's more like that same amount of sugar gets slowly digested and released into your system throughout the day, which is sort of undoubtedly a better way and a more sustainable way for your body to work. Like I say, if you're getting that blood sugar spike and then it's back down and it's up and it's down, like I say, you can end up making yourself actually pretty ill that way because your body can't keep up. And like I say, it doesn't know sort of what state it's supposed to be in. So that is where something like your brown bread comes in being better than white. Your body can break it down. It's more natural for your body because there's less processed stuff in it, and like I say, at the same time, it will release slowly into your system across the day rather than sort of white, simpler carbs, those refined carbs like your breads and stuff like that, that will just stodge your system up a little bit, while also giving you that little bit of a spike as well. So some carbohydrates are better than others. And if we get time at the end, we'll have a look at the glycemic index. So if we don't get time, it's something a little bit extra we can look at on the side. And if you can go that little bit further and check it out yourself if you wanted to. The glycemic index, guys, it's going to tell you pretty much in order of foods what's going to hit your system the fastest and what's going to be slow releasing carbohydrates. So if we get a chance at the end, we'll have a little look at that as well. Okay, guys. So carbohydrates, like I say, some carbs are healthier than others. Every cell in your body relies on glucose for fuel. Yeah. Carbohydrates perform fuel in the form of glucose, that your cells can carry out their jobs pretty much. Yeah. So same again, you bring in carbohydrates, your body breaks them down into glucose and will use it or will store it. Yeah. As fat pretty much. So again, you could be not eating any fat at all, thinking if I don't eat fat, I won't put any weight on. Whereas you'll be eating carbohydrates and you're just having sugars that your body's not going to burn. Your body says, right, I'll turn that into fat and I'll store it then. Because your body is almost, with excess, your body almost turns into like a squirrel hibernating, gathering nuts for winter sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? That's your body saying, right, I've got more now than I need, but I'm going to keep hold of it now in case the income ever really dries up if I lose access to food. So that's what it is. It's almost like your body's nest egg, and it's like a survival thing. If you think back in the day when we were cavemen and stuff like that, we didn't really get the chance to eat in excess. A lot of the time we'd be trying to stop ourselves from starving, whereas these days we can quite easily eat in excess, and our body still thinks, do you know what? I'm going to keep hold of this because our body's still there. A survival tool, really, guys, when we think about it. It's hard to convince your body that after thousands and millions of years of evolution that, you don't need to store that fat because the corner, like the shop around the corner's always got like food in. Your body's going to do what it's going to do. And yeah, it will. Excess calories and excess carbs, guys, it's going to hold on to them, convert them into fat and say, do you know what? That's there for a rainy day in case we ever run out of food to eat. Okay, guys, so that covers our macronutrients, and that is kind of the main role of these three different food groups, or these three different macronutrients. And like I say, pretty much all the foods that you're going to eat are going to be made up of protein, fats, and carbs in different combinations. Foods are very rarely one thing entirely. Like I say, an egg is a good source of protein, but the yolk also has fats. Yeah, you're going to get some veg that is, of course, carbohydrates, but they've also got a little bit of protein in there as well. So foods are very, very rarely just one thing and one thing only, but knowing what the content of each of these is in each food is really helpful. And again, does it fit my diet? Does it fit my plan? Does it fit my fitness goals? Which is where our food label comes in. What percentage of these foods is carbs? What's fats? What's protein? And then again, we can go that one step further. Are they healthy sources or are they not? So we'll have a look at that in just a second. But then other than our macronutrients, guys, we've got what we call micronutrients as well. So that is stuff like, minerals and vitamins, really, so things like iron, potassium, and of course, all the vitamins A through to K, zinc, magnesium, whatever it might be. They're all important in our diet as well. So we need to be thinking about those, because if we're eating, you can have a really, really good blend of a really good mix of proteins, fats, and carbs in your diet. But again, thinking about how many vitamins, nutrients, minerals, and stuff like that we're actually getting from them is something else that we need to consider as well. Because if we're not getting many at all, we're just kind of really eating empty calories and we're getting no nutrition from it at all. And those calories are probably better spent elsewhere. So of course we know micronutrients, vitamins, minerals, they're really, really good for our immune system, healthy development, disease prevention, and just our overall well-being, guys. So again, we need our micronutrients as much as we need our macronutrients. Okay, guys. Okay, so just have a quick little gander at this table that we've got on screen. You just love it when the bottom end of your brew is cold. Lovely. Okay, guys. So this chart that we've got here is one of the best tools that we've got, really, and it's kind of going to be our key for reading and interpreting food labels and thinking, is this a food that I want to take home? Is this a food that I want to put in my body or in my family's body? So what we've actually got, we've got 4 different columns. Yes, so we've got one for sugar, one for fat, one for saturated fat, which are some of the fats that we want to stay away from, and then salt as well, which we talked about earlier on. Very easy to have too much salt in our diet, especially these days. So then what else have we got? What else have we got, guys? So we've got, you'll notice that this column down the left-hand side is going to be giving us our brackets, really, I guess, or our categories for what is considered like a food that is high in one of these 4 things, what's considered medium, and what's considered low in each of these things. Yeah. And like I say, we can just come across the chart so we can see that sugar per 100 grams, yeah, anything over 15 grams is considered to be high in sugar. Yeah. So this is where our grams comes in, guys, like we were talking about on that last slide. This is where our grams comes in. So this is what we're going to use to, it's going to be our measuring stick, really, to hold up whatever products we've got against. And like I say, keep it nice and standard, because you might get a cereal that says per serving, which is 40 grams. And then you're thinking to yourself, okay, well, I know the measurement per 100 grams, but what is it for 40? So in order to make that a lot easier for us, food companies these days and food products have to have their nutritional information per 100 grams to keep it standardized and so people know what they're looking for. So if you look on the back of your foods, and you can see I've just got a tin of baked beans here. So I've got 2 separate columns. Yeah, so I've got per half can. Yeah, so if you're having half the can, you can just work it out that way. But that half can measurement doesn't tell me if it's high in sugar, because it's not a 100 gram serving. Yeah, so if I'm eating 30 grams of beans, it's really hard to tell what's considered to be high sugar. So like I say, every food product that you've got should have the nutritional information per 100 grams. So what we've got, it's the first column on these beans. So we've got per 100 grams, we can see that I'm getting 78 calories. Yeah. But then we've got these little sections here. So fats, I know that per 100 grams, yeah, and that's the column that I'm looking at, because that's what this chart works to. Per 100 grams, guys, fats, I'm getting 0.2 grams, which we can look and say, okay, per 100 grams, fat is 0.2, which falls way, way under this category here. It's under 3 grams. So Heinz baked beans are low in fat. Yeah. Okay, guys, cool. So the next one down that I've got here is saturated fat. So these are the fats, like I say, that we want to be wary of and stay away from. So saturated fats per 100 grams, 0.1 grams. Yeah. So we know saturated fats per 100 grams is 0.1 or less than 0.1, actually. So we know that again, Heinz beans are low in saturated fats as well. Happy days. What else have we got? Then we've got sugar. Yeah. So per 100 grams again, carbohydrates, of which sugars 4.7. So we're in the sugar column, 4.7. Yeah. So we're under 5 grams. So they're low in sugar as well. Yeah. Now, they used to be a lot higher, but they changed it when this traffic light system came in. So now they can put on there that they're actually low in sugar. I'm just having a look to see. Yeah, I knew it'd be on there somewhere. Yeah, it actually says low sugar on the packaging as well. I thought it would be. If they can put it on there, they'll put it on there because it's something to brag about, isn't it? Okay, guys. So salt, last one per 100 grams. Salt 0.6. So salt per 100 grams 0.6. So we know that it's double what it takes to be low. So it would be in here, yeah. So it's medium for salt, but it's quite low end on the salt as well. Like it's low end on the medium scale, I would say. So what would we have there? So we had low, 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 medium, yeah, which is exactly what we've got on the side of the tin. You can see that we've actually got 3 greens and an orange, yeah. So they've actually done this bit for you, yeah. So you know if it says green, it's like, oh, okay then, okay. So it's a low in sugar, it's low in saturates, and these are the sort of the criteria that these companies have to hit. So if these beans had more than 5 grams of sugar in per 100 grams, they wouldn't be able to say low in sugar. Yeah. So that's where that classification actually comes from, and that's what these companies have to hit to be able to make these statements like low in fat, low in sugar, or whatever it might be. So, guys, that is an example there of a product that is quite proud of how healthy it is, especially compared to where it used to be, where there was a lot more sugar in there, especially in like the bean sauce and stuff like that. So, like I say, those are actually quite happy to put the colors on the side. Yeah. Now, this information per 100 grams has to be on there, but these colors don't have to be on there. Yeah. There's no legal requirement for a company to have to put the colors on there. So from there, it's always made me think, if you see a product that looks as though it's healthy and wants you to think that it's healthy, but it doesn't have the colors on to say, yes, we're low in this, we're low in that, we're low in that, you got to understand that the company's made a choice not to put those colors on. And that gets my mind thinking, okay, why haven't they put the colors on? So let's see this in action then, guys. Let's see it in action. So we've got our Kellogg's fruit and fiber here. So looks really healthy. Yeah, would we agree it looks really healthy? You know, the product itself, the name of the product is 2 things that we are told that we need in our diet. You know, they're 2 big components in what we believe to be a healthy diet. Just see. So yeah, fruit and fiber, literally 2 things that we're told that we need. We've got at the top, it says high in fiber, nice and green with whole grain. Again, nice and green, we're thinking healthy, we're thinking good for you, all of that sort of thing. We can see fruit on the front of the cover. We can see some nuts all naturally occurring. We can see these sort of almost bran flaky type things, like the actual flakes of the cereals. We're thinking, do you know what? Yeah, that looks really healthy. That'll be a good breakfast choice. You know, you've got people all around the world thinking, look, I need to have something. I like a bowl of cereal in the morning, but I want a healthier option than Lucky Charms and Cocoa Pops and golden nuggets and all of that sort of thing. And they gravitate towards this because it looks healthy. But let's have a look. So we can see bottom left and up here, we've got no colors. It's like, where's all the greens at, guys? Where's all the greens if this is so healthy? So let's break it down and actually use the food label with the information they've given us that they have to give us. So we can see here again what I was mentioning a second ago. This column here tells you what you're getting per serving. Yeah. One reason that doesn't work is because I don't know anybody that measures their cereal out and weighs it out. So you might think, yeah, I've had a bowl of cereal, I've had 40 grams. You might have poured 80 grams into there. So you've actually had double all of these. Yeah. But this can actually, if you are weighing it out, it can help you track how many of something you've actually had exactly. Whereas at the same time, this values per 100 grams, like I say, is standardized across all your food, and it lets you use that chart that we've got. So we've got fat first. So fat. So again, we don't want to look at per 40-gram serving. We want per 100 grams. So we need to come down to here. Yeah. So fat per 100 grams is 6 grams. Yeah. 6 grams of fat per 100 grams of cereal. So fat per 100 grams, we had 6. Yeah. So we would fall into this category here in the middle. So we're between 3 grams and 20 grams. We're at 6. So we're, again, we're at the lower end of that scale. Yeah. We're a lot closer to 3 than we are to 20, but we're still in this medium bracket here. Yeah. We're still double what it takes to be considered low in fat. Yeah. Still double the amount. So we're already off. We've got an orange to start us off. Yeah, we've got an amber. Okay, of which are saturated fats. Yeah, so we've got our fats. We'll do our saturated next. So per 100 grams, 3.5 grams are saturated. So saturated fats per 100 grams. And again, 3.5 falls into this. So again, we're on more than double than it takes to get into the low saturated fat. Yeah. To be able to say they're low in saturated fat, they'd have to half the amount of saturated fat that's in there per 100 grams. Yeah. So we would actually be in this section here. Yeah, at 3.5. So 2 oranges so far. 2 oranges so far, guys. Next one we've got, we'll do sugars. We'll do sugars next. So per 100 grams, sugar, 24 grams. Yeah. So for every 100 grams you eat, 24 grams of that is sugar. Yeah. So that's a quarter of what you're eating. So every spoonful of fruit and fiber you're having, a quarter of that's going in is sugar. So let's have a look. 24 grams per 100 grams of sugar. So sugar, 24 is in there, guys, isn't it? So we're nearly on double the amount of sugar that it takes to be classed as high in sugar, yeah, per 100 grams, which is absolutely astonishing, really, for a healthy food choice. 24 grams of sugar per 100 grams of cereal, guys, which would be red. So we've got a red for sugar, we've got 2 oranges for our fats and our saturated fats. What have we got for our salt? So salt per 100 grams is 1 gram. Yeah. So salt per 100 grams is 1 gram. So we'll be in here. Yeah. So again, closer to the high end than the low end, closer to 1.5 than we are to 3 if we're at 1. And that gives us another amber, doesn't it, guys? So we can see from that we've been high in sugar, and we've been medium in these 3 here: fat, saturated fats, and salt. So none of these categories, guys, on the front of Kellogg's Fruit and Fiber would be green. Not one of them would be green. We would have orange, orange, red, orange. And if you had people that were looking for a healthy food choice, do you think they're still going to buy this and believe into this all healthy fruit fiber? Look at all these look at all these fruits and raisins and grapes and stuff on the front. High grain, high whole grain, high fiber. Like, people just wouldn't buy into it if it was plain as day. Medium, high in sugar, medium in salt. And that is, to my best educated guess, the reason why there's no colors on a product like this that wants you to think it's really healthy, but really isn't. you know. So again, guys, don't always be fooled by the marketing and the way that they're trying to box the product and send it to you. Um, this just shows, guys, why we need to be able to interpret for ourselves what's actually healthy and what's not. Because just, you know, slapping something on the box that says high fiber or with whole grain, it doesn't really cut it, guys, for what we need these days. And you know, I've mentioned before, and I've maybe mentioned it to you guys already. Like, if something's unhealthy, you're better off just knowing that it's unhealthy and having it in moderation. It's almost more dangerous and more damaging, I would say, to trick people into thinking that it's healthy for you and let them then think, oh, it's a good choice, so I can make that choice every day. You know, um, same as a packet of crisps. You know they're not healthy for you. You might not eat crisps every day, but if I gave you a packet of crisps and said, look, these are really good for you, you'd be thinking, oh, I'll have one every day. Then why not? It's good for us. So the same applies with this, guy. So yeah, it just shows why we need to be able to look a little bit deeper than just the numbers that it gives you on the side of the box. Because if we don't have any context, guys, they're just that, they're numbers with nothing to measure them against and no reference point really. So like I say, that's really helpful in just understanding how we might break down a food label and use it to actually, you know, lift the curtain a little bit and say what's actually going on with some of these products. Okay, guys, cool. With the dog snoring his head up. If you guys can hear that, yeah, I do apologize. He's he's well asleep. Yeah, he's having a right good little snore over there in the corner. Okay, guys. So that's fruit and fiber done. Let's have a look at a different product. Yeah. So another one that, you know, it's crisps or corn chips, depending on whether you class those as the same thing or not. So again, what we've got. So I know firsthand that pop chips are sold as or marketed as like a healthier alternative for snacking and alternative to crisps and stuff like that. We can see on the back of the packaging that it says, well, first of all, it says that this pack contains 6 servings. And let's be honest, like I've never seen a share bag of crisps, pop chips or otherwise, last six sittings. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, we're thinking about portions and how many we're eating at once. We can see that the box is or the packaging is letting us know 40+% less fat per serving. So you know, it is kind of trying to hit that healthy eating angle a little bit, aren't they? You know, again, we've got lots of greens on the packaging, you know. So again, almost like look at us, we're healthy sort of thing going on a little bit. So let's break it down again and see what we've actually got. Okay, guys, so remember, we want to be in this column per 100 grams because none of these numbers work if we're looking at per 17 grams. Yeah, so per 100 grams, what do we hit first? Fat first. So we've got fat per 100 grams is 17 grams of fat. Yeah, so we'd be orange for fat. Oh, that's naughty. I've just noticed this actually. That is quite naughty. They've got at the top here, this says per 100 grams. And then this says per bag, 17 grams, which is really confusing because then you might look at this column here and be thinking, oh, okay, this is what I'm looking at per 100 grams. It's like, no, this here is per serving per 17 grams. Yeah. So this here isn't per 100 grams. So we do want to make sure we're on this column here. So we've done fat. We had 17 grams per 100 grams, which is, it's medium, but it's getting up towards 20, isn't it? We're a lot closer to 20 than we are to 3. So it's getting on to being high in fat, although it's that medium range at the minute where they've got the recipe. Of which are saturated. So saturated fats per 100 grams is 2 grams. So we're not low enough to be low. So again, we fall into this 2 grams. Yeah. So we've got another medium there. So another 2 mediums to start us off. From there, we've got, and don't forget, guys, as well, this is the thing that they're shouting about. Yeah. less fat than traditional crisps, or you know, the next leading brand or whatever it is that they're actually comparing it to. They don't even say. It's just it might be their old recipe, you know. Less fat per serving, but we're still not low in fat or saturated fat. Yeah, so again, not quite as healthy as they might want us to believe. Then we've got sugars. So what have we got for sugars? Per 100 grams, we've got 4 grams. Yeah, so we are actually low in sugar per 100 grams. You would expect that from a packet of crisps, though, I dare say. And again, different flavors. And I think off the top of my head, like barbecue flavorings for a lot of crisps tend to have a little bit of a little bit more sweetness in there as well. So a different flavor could be a little bit higher actually in terms of sugar. Right, guys. So what we've got next? We've got so sugar was where were we? Actually threw myself off. 4 grams. Yeah, we're actually low in sugar, but just about. Yeah, so potentially more sugar than you'd actually expect to see in crisps. Then we've got salt to finish us up. Salt's probably one that we all know to watch out for when it comes to crisps and savory snacks and salty snacks, of course. Per 100 grams, 1.8 grams, which is actually over the threshold for high. Yeah, so we would have low for sugar, medium in fat, and high in salt. Yeah, so low in the thing that you wouldn't expect there to be much in a packet of crisps, then medium and high in the rest. So again, are they really the really healthy alternative? You know, are these so good that you can afford to eat these crisps every day, or are you better off just sticking with other crisps that you maybe prefer more, and you just think you say self they're a treat maybe once or twice a week? That's just actually sparked a thought. I know full well that we've got some barbecue Pringles actually in the cupboard. I'm going to go and see what the difference is and how much sugar is in those. We'll do a live reading, guys. 2 seconds. Right, guys. Right. So, where do Pringles stack up? So, first of all, have they got any colors on there? No, there's no colors on Pringles. Okay, let's have a look then. So, same again. We've got 3 different columns. So we've got per 100 grams, per 30 grams, which will be a serving. And then what you sometimes see, guys, is like a column that says RI, and that's just like your recommended intake. So like if next to protein it says, so you've got like on here we've got 4.5 grams of protein per 100 grams, 3% in that other column. So that 3% means that that's 3% of the amount of protein that we need on average each day. Yeah. But for this exercise that we're doing, we don't need to worry too much about that last little column. So what have we got? What have we got? Per 100 grams, fats. We've got 31 grams. So Pringles, per 100 grams, 31 grams of fat. Yeah. So high in fat. About saturated fat then. Per 100 grams, 2.9. Yeah. So 2.9 would fit us into this average, this medium section here, yeah? So we've got high in fat, but medium in saturated fat. Let's have a look. Sugars, 4.2 per 100 grams. So yeah, we're same again. The serving size is bigger for these crisps, but per 100 grams, we would actually be getting not really any extra sugar, like 0.2 extra sugar, which with them being barbecue flavored. But something to watch out for across different brands. I know the different flavors will have different nutritional information as well. So if you're changing the flavor, just look and see what the difference is on the back. But yeah, same again, guys. We can actually see these sour cream and onion corn chips, these pop chips weren't actually as healthy as they might have wanted us to think. Okay, let's have a look at another one then, guys. So this one that I've got up here is actually, I think, an example of the colors going on a product that isn't overly healthy to actually help it sell as well. So we can say that they've actually done this one for us. We've got what we're high in fat, we're low in saturated fat though, sugars are medium, and salt's medium. Yeah. Now, if I was walking down the aisle and I saw this product, spicy barbecue pulled pork wedges, I would be inclined to assume that it was actually more unhealthy than it is. You know, I would be looking and think, oh, that's something to stay away from. That whereas really they've put the colours on, and you look at it and go, okay, it's high in fat, but it's low in saturated fats, sugars, and salt. Are somewhere in the middle. So again, that might actually make you think, you know what, that's not as bad for us as I would think it is. So again, that can be an example of the color chart working in reverse, I guess. And the product that you might look and think that'd be really unhealthy, I'm going to stay away from it. It might actually help you come around and think, you know what, that's not as bad as I thought. But yeah, just an interesting way and a reason that you'll see the colors on products like this, but you won't see them on stuff like fruit and fiber. Now, again, when I see something that's claiming to be healthy and it's not got the colors on saying green, 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 I'm asking myself why and looking at the numbers a little bit harder, guys. So it can work both ways. Yeah, but like I say, I just wanted you to see an example of, the color, the traffic light chart potentially working in reverse. Another one that I did want to do, guys, just before we wrap up for the day, just because we've got a little bit of time, I wanted to do a Nutella because I know how popular Nutella is, and I like it myself from time to time if I'm going to treat myself. So let's look at Nutella then, because this was once upon a time sold as breakfast for kids. Really, if you remember the old, this is slow release sugar that's going to help your kids get through the school day and help them stay concentrated and stuff like that. And at the end of the day, guys, it's not true. It's just absolutely not true. So let's get a look, guys. Let's get a look. So what have we got? Per 100 grams for Nutella. Let's get this chart up a bit bigger. Per 100 grams of Nutella, fat is 30 grams. Yeah. So there's 30 grams of fat. So it's around about the same amount of fat per 100 grams as Pringles was a second ago. So Nutella actually has as much fat in per 100 grams as crisps do. Yeah, which might be a bit surprising to you because, of course, it's a sweet snack. It's not savory, but there is a lot of fat in there, guys. Okay, saturated fats per 100 grams, 10.6. So more than double. Yeah, more than double what it takes to be classed as high in saturated fats. So not good at all, guys. Carbohydrates, of which sugars. So sugar per 100 grams, 56. 56, guys. So what's that? 3 and a bit? Nearly 4 times what it takes to be classed as high in sugar. So if you think about it, per 100 grams, over 50 grams of that is sugar. Yeah. So every tablespoon of Nutella, 50% of it's sugar, just outright. 50% of it's sugar, 30% of it's fat. Yeah. Quite eye-opening, guys, when you think about it that way. Like half of this jar of Nutella will be sugar. Yeah. So again, there is a time and a place, and that time and place doesn't come along very often that we need to be eating that much sugar and putting that into our systems, guys. So again, in moderation, and we're more inclined to do that if we actually just acknowledge a food as unhealthy rather than healthy. Yeah. So yeah, hopefully that's been a little bit eye-opening for you this morning, guys, and you're feeling a little bit more confident in your ability to go away, break down these different foods, and determine whether they're healthy. Do you want to eat them or do you not? That'll about do us for just all the examples that I wanted to run through. But I would recommend, guys, either get a screen grab of this chart or get a picture, print it off if you want, and you'll be able to Google it as well. Just have it somewhere handy, guys. Keep it on your phone, keep it on your purse, keep it in your wallet, so that when you're at the shops making decisions, if the brand that you're used to is not in stock, or if you've got a little bit more time and you want to think about actually sort of trying to figure some of this out in the shop. Because I mean, once you've got it home, nobody wants to waste food that they've paid for. So does it really matter how unhealthy it is once you've bought it home? Chances are it's going to get eaten anyway. So we kind of really need to be making these decisions before we're putting foods into our basket and bringing them home. But again, I've mentioned before, I've even got this printed out. It's on the fridge, so I can just sort of quite quickly look at something and check it. If there's been a product come in the online shop that they've sent a substitute for, I'm like, okay, how does this compare to what I was expecting to come? So really, really handy tool to have, guys, in being able to break down and figure out, is this high in sugar? Is it high in salt? Is it low in fat or whatever, because I feel as though that really is a key to helping us make good and better food choices. And like I say, guys, it's not all about cutting out the food that is high in stuff. It's just acknowledging that they are high in whatever and having them in moderation from time to time. Yeah, having a little bit of discipline over our diet, because nobody wants to just totally cut out the food that they enjoy from their diet. And I totally agree. Why train and exercise to feel good and be happy and then deprive yourself of everything that you enjoy? It makes no sense to me, guys. So it's trying to find, it's understanding what it is actually that we're eating and how we can find a place for it in our diet, or where the place and time for it in our diet might come along. But yeah, guys, really, really helpful in helping us make them better food choices. Right, guys, we'll wrap up there for today then. So I've actually put another example up there just as I'm sort of winding down for the end of the session, just in case, again, if you want to pause it, if you want a chance to have a little bit more practice instead of going and digging something out of the cupboard, see how these Rice's crisps or these bubble chips actually compare to the food chart, so just another little exercise you can do there. If you want to do one more by yourself, sort of as we're finishing up for the session, by all means, just pause it and take a little bit of time. But spot on, guys. Really well done this morning. Cheers for tuning in. And that'll about do us for everything, like I say, we needed to run through this morning in terms of the food and the nutritional side of things. You could definitely go and check out the glycemic index in your own time. Really, really helpful in making good carbohydrate choices, as opposed to stuff that's just going to give you a really, really quick release of sugar and then cause a blood spike and a sugar crash within an hour or two. Okay, guys, so as always, don't forget to do the session for today, the survey for today's session. What we've got under the YouTube video, there's a drop-down arrow, and then we've got the description section for the video. So what is in there? There is, of course, my email address is in there if you need to reach out to me for any reason. If you've got any problems, if you've got any issues with anything, like I say, do just drop me an email. The workbook is in there as well, that we need for today's session. Now, you should have that already because it's the same workbook that we've done the last couple of weeks. But this week we're doing pages 9, 10, and 11 in that How the Body Works booklet. So if you haven't got that already for whatever reason, let me know and I'll get it over to you. But it is also, the link to download that is actually in the description below the video as well. Then we've got the survey, which, like I say, just click that link. That link will take you directly to the survey. You can record your answers on there, and then it automatically comes back to us. So guys, you don't even need to worry about downloading it and emailing it back to us. Follow the link, type in some answers, close it down. The answers come straight back to us anyway, guys, so massively important. Helps us do some paperwork on your behalf. And at the same time, guys, as always, your feedback's really, really important to us. So don't forget to finish up those pages in the How the Body Works booklet. And of course, don't forget to dive over and jump on the fitness video for today as well. Today, we've got a home resistance workout, which is something that I did during lockdown, where I tried to use a couple of little bits of kit from in the cupboard, pretty much, because we haven't all got access to much exercise kit and didn't through lockdown. So all it is, it's a couple of tins of couple of tins of soup I use, you know. You can use peas, you can use whatever it might be, you know. Get yourself a couple of tins, as long as they're the same weight. And you can actually do like a little bit of resistance where those tins are going to simulate the weight rather than needing to actually go out and spend money on kit. So again, give it a try. I try and make sure there's alternatives to each exercise, so there's a little bit of something in there for everybody. If you're not feeling that type of workout today, still follow the link and it'll take you to our Media Savvy workout playlist, and there'll be there's a few different videos in there. So you might think, you know what, I want to do my abs today, or I want to do an upper and lower body circuit or something like that. Go and check them out, guys. But yeah, as always, let us know how you're getting on with the workout videos as well. Always keen to get a little bit of feedback from those. And then, like I say, the survey is in there as well, guys. So don't forget to do that. Not even take 30 seconds. Other little bits that you're going to find in the description for the video, any more sort of supplementary learner info, you're talking anything to do with our social media pages and our links to those. And of course, anything that you as a learner might need, be it anything to do with e-safety, where to go with a concern, safeguarding, and all of that type of thing as well. So again, that's there for if you need it and you want to check it out, guys. Okay, so we'll call it there then. As always, guys, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for training with Media Savvy. We'll be back next Wednesday, 10 o'clock till half 11, 12 o'clock as well. And then we're going to be looking at different types of fitness and how we can actually test them as well to make sure that we are moving forward and progressing fitness-wise in the ways that we actually want to. You know, are you training for muscular strength and finding out that, you know, you're not quite getting there? So how can you actually test different aspects of our fitness, guys? So plenty to look forward to next week. Like I say, we'll be back. Either join us live or I'll send out the link so you can watch things in your own time. As always, guys, until then, take care of yourselves, stay safe, give me a shout if you need anything. Have a good week, and if I don't hear from you beforehand, we'll speak next Wednesday. Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for joining in. Catch you next week. Cheers. Bye.